Potentially game-changing news coming from one of Europe's major economies, which could be looking to legalize cryptocurrency for payments. Also some Bitcoin ETF rumors, the Pandora's box effect, and whether or not Ethereum or Bitcoin has the most upside. All of that and more in today's video. My name's Lark. Every day I make videos talking about cryptocurrency investing, so if that's a topic you'd like to stay up to date with, maybe just learn some more about, you should definitely subscribe to the Lark Davis channel. And obviously, if you can take a quick second to tap on that thumbs up button for my bosses over at YouTube, that would be super awesome. And if you do want to know when I put out a new video, make sure you click on that notification bell. Now, if you do want to buy some Bitcoin, or you want to buy some Ethereum, or some Cardano, or some Solana, whatever your fancy might be, you need to get yourself an account over on BINANCE. Use the link down below in the description to start your account. You'll get 10% off of your trading fees and up to $700 in trading bonuses and trading futures over on Binance. Now let's talk about the price of Bitcoin. This candle right here, that is a battle of the bulls and the bears. The bulls made a valiant attempt to try to push Bitcoin over this key area of resistance at $57,700. I'm calling it 58K. Let's keep it simple, 58K. The bulls failed to pick up enough momentum to make that happen. Bears pushing the price back down. Currently, we saw the volume falling off over the last few days here. So falling volume going into resistance. The bulls just couldn't pick it up enough to get that daily close above this area of resistance. Be interested to see if we do get a bit of a retracement over the weekend. Maybe we come back down to test 52,500. I'm still at some point looking for a retest of this major breakout line here around $50,000. But all of that being said, you have to understand where we are right now. We are potentially days away from a Bitcoin ETF approval. Now, if we get that Bitcoin ETF approved, that's probably going to cause like a 20% daily candle for Bitcoin. So that would be a pretty dramatic situation if it does happen. That would push us past, obviously, the resistance of $58,000. That would obviously push us past the resistance of $60,000, and that would actually put in a new all-time high, or we'd probably get very close to a new all-time high. Maybe we only get a 10% daily candle and just butt up against the previous all-time high. We'll probably get a new all-time high if we get a Bitcoin ETF approved sometime next week. Remember, there's 2 applications on, one for the 18th, one for the 19th, another the following week on the 25th, which is a very high potential approval ETF as well. We'll see. The guys over at Bloomberg are given the one on the 18th, a 2-to-1 odds of getting approved, and the one on the 25th, 4-to-1 odds of getting approved. So we'll see how that all plays out, of course. Now, if we fail, if on Monday we learn that the ProShares Bitcoin Futures ETF has been denied or delayed again, well, that's when we get maybe the market turning a bit more bearish and we get those tests of these key support levels here. So watch out for either of those scenarios. Here is a bit of interesting Bitcoin ETF gossip for you as well. The SEC posted this 4 days before the deadline to approve a Bitcoin Futures ETF. I think we may be about to get an approval. So what they said is that before investing in a fund that holds Bitcoin futures contracts, make sure you carefully weigh the potential risks and benefits. Check out our investor bulletin to learn more. It's not the first time they posted this, to be fair. But it's interesting timing. Interesting timing to be reposting this only 4 days before we could potentially see a Bitcoin ETF, futures ETF, of course, getting approved in the USA. That would be massive if it happens. Is the SEC trying to signal something here? I don't know, man. But maybe. Maybe. Bitcoin ETF gossip. Love it. Now, I want to talk about the Pandora's box effect. Enough of the Bitcoin ETF for today. We'll find out next week whether or not it's been approved. Promise not to talk about the Bitcoin ETF over the weekend, guys. We'll talk about it on Monday next week. See what happened with the whole thing. But anyway, Pandora's box effect. So the Bank of England came out and said, oh, you know, Bitcoin could trigger financial instability. In fact, the Bank of England has been pretty damn anti-crypto for a long time. But this new warning from the Bank of England about crypto triggering financial instability threatening the system, that actually comes just a few days after the IMF came out and said basically the same thing, saying that crypto is a threat to financial stability. It's not a threat to financial stability. It's a threat to their business model. The central banks, the IMF, they're all, of course, in bed together with the big corporate banks. These guys are starting to realize they can't ban Bitcoin. They can't stop Bitcoin. China tried to ban Bitcoin. Wildly unsuccessful. Crypto cannot be stopped. Now, there was maybe a time back in the early days of Bitcoin when they could have, tracked down everybody and shut it down and, scrubbed it from the internet. It would have popped back up anyway. These ideas would have kept coming back. But now, there's no way. There's no putting the chaos back in Pandora's box. Bitcoin's out there. Ethereum's out there. 12,000 different cryptocurrencies are currently listed. There's probably twice as many that are not listed. It's total chaos. Stablecoin transfers and decentralized finance with layers upon layers and NFTs and all this madness is happening. The central banks, they've already lost. The IMF, they've already lost. It is a threat to the legacy financial system. They're absolutely right. The central bankers, the IMF, the corporate bankers, these guys are 110% right. I completely agree with them. It is a threat to the financial system, and it's a good thing. Because the financial system as it is, terribly corrupt, terribly rotten, terribly broken. I welcome the end of central banking. They'll write about it in the history books in the future. How central banks, they used to let people decide what the inflation rates and all this stuff were instead of, basing money off of mathematics or more logical things. They let corrupt politicians dictate economic policy, destroying people's entire lives. And if that sounds a bit hyperbolic, we've covered over the last 2 weeks plenty of stories that prove that's exactly true. Look what's happening in Lebanon. Look what's happening in Nigeria and Argentina and Sudan and all of these countries where these politicians, which are almost completely unaccountable when it really comes down to it, are destroying people's livelihoods, destroying people's lifetime savings, screwing them economically, making it hard for them to even buy food in some cases because of their bad damn policies. So I welcome Pandora's box and I welcome chaos. Next up, let's talk about the game-changing news. Russia. So the Russian president has come out saying that he accepts cryptocurrency's role in making payments. Very interesting. Russia has had such a back and forth relationship with cryptocurrencies. You have factions within the Russian government that are actually really pro-crypto, and they want to see crypto more broadly adopted within the country. They see it as a potential tool for imports and exports, launching a digital ruble, all this kind of stuff. And then you have some hardcore anti-crypto factions within the government that are basically trying to make it completely illegal for payments, to crack down on mining, to make it so that Russian people can't invest in token sales, all this stuff. These conversations have been going on for a long time. There hasn't been any dramatic resolution up to this point about cryptocurrency regulations inside of Russia. Russian president coming out, though, again, and saying that he accepts crypto's role in making payments. Now, is this going to turn into legislation? We shall see. We shall see. Obviously, he is an incredibly powerful political figure within the country. If he can push for getting a bigger role for cryptocurrencies in the Russian economy, I think that would be a big, big deal. I think Russia is one of the world's biggest economies, right? Remember we talked about Brazil potentially making Bitcoin recognized for payments as well. That was also a massive, massive story. These are some of the titans of the global economy. Now, what's interesting, too, is that Putin said, well, at this time, we don't see, it was maybe too early with crypto to start talking about it in our export markets, but the fact that he's talking about saying it's too early to talk about it in export markets means they're already talking about it in with export markets. And what does that mean? What does Russia export to the world? Well, their biggest exports, oil and natural gas. Also, truckloads of agricultural products, wheat and stuff like that, but primarily oil and gas. And so you have to realize how crazy it would be if we actually start seeing large-scale adoption of trading oil and natural gas for cryptocurrencies, for Bitcoin. It would be unreal. Now, we've seen, by the way, and if you're new around here, I've covered these stories for years, but we've seen early stories of there has been payments made for oil, for example, for a few times using cryptocurrencies. We've seen cargo ships full of wheat being paid for using Bitcoin. So these things have happened a few times before, but it never seems to recur very much. It seems to be very much one-off cases when it happens. But if you want to talk about a threat to the existing financial system, and really the US dollar, when it comes down to it, it would be a country like Russia, which is one of the world's top oil producers, saying, you know what, we're taking Bitcoin now. That would change everything. That would change everything. It would blow the lid off of the crypto markets in a way that people can't even imagine. That's how you get your $1 million Bitcoin when we start talking about the petro Bitcoin, a Bitcoin that is used as the global standard for money because nobody owns the Bitcoin. This is the thing. It's a decentralized network. Everybody out here trading oil in US dollars, they are essentially helping the US maintain the relevance of the dollar. If they move away from that, the dirty dollar is no longer so important. Final story for today. Mark Cuban came out and said that Ethereum has the most upside as a cryptocurrency investment. Now, it's a very interesting thing. Obviously, we've been talking a lot on this channel about why Ethereum is awesome, why there are so many potential amazing catalysts coming up for Ethereum. It's got DeFi, it's got stablecoins, it's got the best NFTs, it's got the most brain power behind it, it's got the most institutional adoption, it's got EIP 1559, which is burning up truckloads of ETH on a daily basis. It's got so much going on. The proof of stake is coming. So your question for today. Do you agree with Mark Cuban? Do you think that Ethereum has the most upside as a cryptocurrency investor? Or maybe you think it's Bitcoin. If we get the petro Bitcoin, holy cow, that would definitely bring us up to a big upside. Maybe it's something else. Maybe it's Cardano. Maybe it's Solana. Maybe it's Polkadot. Which cryptocurrency do you think has the most upside? And I guess one final note on that, Mark Cuban is a billionaire. And so for a lot of the billionaire class and the family office class and stuff like this, they actually can't get enough liquidity out of some of these smaller coins to have it be effective investments for them. If they want to put $500 million into a cryptocurrency, it's only got $1 billion market cap, it just doesn't work. They just distort the market. So Bitcoin and Ethereum tend to work for these guys. But that being said, we're seeing a lot of big market cap coins starting to grow. So be curious to know your thoughts on that down below in the comments section. Thanks so much for watching today's video, and peace out till next time.